Good evening and welcome to Abington News and Views. I'm Christopher Dean. Tonight's program we're going to call Act 2 or Round 2 in the ongoing debate regarding the deal that was made between Montgomery County Commissioners Jim Matthews and Joe Hoffel to share power. It's become a big deal because Jim Matthews is a Republican and he crossed party lines to make this power deal with Joe Hoffel. In fact, if you had listened to our interview several weeks ago, you would have learned from Jim Matthews that the kingmaker in Montgomery County politics seemed to be Joe Hoffel. Now, did this deal marginalize the third commissioner, the one who actually won the lion's share of votes in Montgomery County during the last election? He's a well-known figure, and he is our guest this evening. He is a former prosecutor and district attorney and is well thought of in Montgomery County, and some might even argue that Jim Matthews came in on his coattails. So our guest this evening is Commissioner Bruce Castor. Bruce, welcome to Abington News and Views.
Thank you for having me.
And Bruce has indicated we can talk about anything, and we are going to talk about a lot of subjects. I am going to pick his brain as a former prosecutor on a lot of current topics that are hitting the news today. But I do want to start with this Matthews deal. But in the last election, two Republicans did win election, Jim Matthews and Bruce Castor. Joe Hoffel represents the minority members, the Democrats. So why did, and this is where we're going to start tonight, Bruce, why would Jim Matthews, you were his running mate, you're both Republicans, you control the party, and you kind of control Montgomery County politics, but Jim Matthews crosses party lines, some would say betrayed his party, betrayed his constituents, and made this deal with Joe Hoffel. Why didn't he make this deal with you?
Well, the issue really comes down to one of Jim wanted the government to be of him, government by Jim Matthews, of Jim Matthews, and for Jim Matthews. There are really two key positions in the county government outside of who the commissioner's chairman is. There's the chief legal officer, the county solicitor, and there's the human resources director, the guy that hires all the people. So when you have the chairman, you have the solicitor, and you have the human resources director, you have the government, the legal arm, and the personnel. Jim insisted on controlling all three of those positions. He wanted to be the chairman, he wanted to have his buddy as the solicitor, and he wanted to have his other buddy as the human resources director. And I had agreed to two of those things. I agreed that Jim could be the chairman, despite the fact that I received more votes than Jim did. I agreed that he could have his buddy as the human resources director. But as far as the county's lawyer, now remember I'm a lawyer, so I think that I have some skill in judging which lawyers do good jobs and which ones don't. I thought that I ought to have some say in who that person was to be. And I wasn't saying that it had to be my pick alone. I just said, can we come to somebody that we both can agree on? And apparently that was the thing that caused Jim to run away from the team. I say apparently because I didn't know there was ever any problem.
You haven't really nominated anybody to come in. At least Jim Matthews says you haven't. He and Joe Hoffel have numerous people that they've brought in. You haven't really brought anybody into county government with you?
My secretary.
Your secretary. Let me just stop you there because I want to hone in on what Jim Matthews had to say so we can simplify what's going on here. He said before the election that he had in writing from you that you would agree to allow him to be chairman. I would think that would effectively make you vice chairman. And he went on to say that that agreement was contingent on him supporting you for the governorship in 2010. So it seems as if there was a pact between you two, if you listen to Jim Matthews, where the two of you get together, you support him for the chairmanship, he supports you for the governorship. Any truth to that?
If he has such a document, ask him to show it to you, because that is absolutely false.
So there's nothing in writing where you agreed to allow him to be chairman?
No, the first part is true. I did agree to allow him to be chairman. I agreed to allow him to be chairman in a writing in March, in writing in September, another writing in September, and two others in December. So all of those things that part's true. The part about him quid pro quo supporting me to be governor is complete fabrication.
When did you let him know that you were, he said it was only after the election that you two had met and you could not come to terms. It seems from an outsider standpoint as if it was all about, maybe I'm wrong, personality versus policy, and personality won out. You two seem to be very rock-headed regarding this chairmanship. Now you're indicating it wasn't that way at all.
Chris, that is not only absolutely false, it is demonstrably false. Because we had meetings, and then I would send an email to Jim summarizing our meeting. And I have those emails, which he responded to, where I said, I'm not opposed to him becoming the chairman, but I'm interested in being consulted on who the solicitor was going to be. I mean,
so did it all break down because of the solicitor?
Apparently so. I mean, that's the, and ultimately in I think it was December, in a newspaper article, Jim admitted that I did agree to let him be the chairman and that wasn't true. So we have multiple stories in writing from him as well.
Did you have someone in mind to be the solicitor?
No, I actually had a list of people. I said, you know, the guy that Jim wanted, I don't have confidence in. You know, I'm sorry. I was elected by the people of Montgomery County to exercise my judgment as to who would do a good job in various positions. And as far as the legal end of it, I kind of think I'm in a pretty good position to know who's a good lawyer. And I didn't have confidence in the guy that Jim wanted. So I said, here's a bunch of people that I have confidence in. You can pick one of them, or let's come up with somebody else. Again, all that's in writing.
Now, Jim Matthews has always also said that you, wanting to run for the gubernatorial seat in 2010, actually tried to undermine his candidacy because you thought he would have a lot of popularity in southeast Pennsylvania. Is there truth to that?
Well, we know as a fact that he has no popularity in southeast Pennsylvania because he had the poorest showing in history when he ran for lieutenant governor. Didn't even carry Montgomery County. When he ran with Lynn Swan in Montgomery County, Swan and Matthews lost by a larger margin than Fisher and Jane Earl did when they ran 4 years before. And Jane Earl, the lieutenant governor candidate, was from Erie. So they did worse in Montgomery County. That's complete. I mean, that's fantasy.
Now, Matthews also says he tried to explain his decision. When I listened to him discuss this matter, he seems to indicate that he went with Joe Hoffel as a first resort because of the way this election went. That as many Democrats as Republicans, and it gets too complicated to explain here with row officers, nobody's going to understand this, but apparently there are as many Democrats just about as Republicans in county government now. And by making this deal with Joe Hoffel, there is more effective government. The government will run more smoothly. Is there truth to that? Now, I want to back up a little bit. He did indicate he tried to cut a deal with you, and it didn't work. Joe Hoffel came to him and said, I don't want to align myself with Bruce Castor. I want to align myself with you. Then even after the election, he continued to try to make a deal with you, but now is indicating that's not it at all. He's saying two things at the same time, that he needed to make this deal with Joe Hoffel to make government work better because there are more Democrats in county government now. Is there truth to that?
No, there's no truth to that whatsoever. This isn't the U.S. Congress where you divide up the number of people who got elected and whoever has the most seats gets to elect the Speaker of the House and all. It doesn't work that way. The three county commissioners are the executive branch. And they're also the legislative branch too. And those three, in this case, those three men make all decisions concerning budgets, all decisions concerning policy, and two beats one, and that's all you need to know. Now, whether the coroner wants to hire somebody or the sheriff or the district attorney, that's their business. As far as I'm concerned, the other elected officials should be able to hire who they want. But as far as the lion's share of the county government, 3,200 employees or whatnot, how $500 million is spent, how all of these departments are staffed, the only guys that make those decisions are the three county commissioners, and two beats one. Right now, it's Joe Hoffel and Jim Matthews that are the two.